Hey, people. We have a sextet of games. Yes, I looked it up. The term is sextet, like quartet and quintet, and then sextet. I've said sextet too many times. We're going on to Maelstrom here for game number 1. It is between Shopkeeper Dog, who is our electric blue Terran. All right. In the top left of Maelstrom, I'm at by BDB, and this is looeye. It is a... Oh, he's always electric orange, isn't he? Indeed, he is our Zerg player in the top right. So, Maelstrom is a map I played once against looeye when I was building nothing but zealots. I almost won that game, and then I didn't. So, that's my only experience with this map. It was cross positions. It seems like a really difficult map to actually hold a natural in. Maybe we'll see that at play in this game. But these two have been going at it for a little bit here, and it looks like looeye is fancying himself 3 gas workers early on. He's going to go for a Kagran into a Larvosk, no doubt. I will note that this version does have the Ridge refineries added to the game. So we may see Dog go for the Sieve later on. We may see looeye go for the Eskagant later on. But I just wanted to give a shout out that at this point we have finally achieved the Ridge caps in terms of the games that were being played, the replays and all that. So we'll see how those shape up. A Larvosk indeed is on the way, as looeye considers his next move will most likely be the Hydrith Den. Indeed it is. There's some discussion about whether or not the pool is still viable as an opening, and I understand that a lot of Zergs are experimenting with Hydrith, and even Zerk is as their first structure. I think pool has a lot of value to it still. There's definitely some pretty significant power you can get from just purely fronting with, like, you would describe it as like really using mineral-only units as chaff and kind of just giving yourself a little bit of a barrier so that you don't need to worry about harvesting Vespene and then spending it immediately on that. You can power spike up to tier 2 really quickly. But I haven't seen all the pressure games that have been happening here between Terran versus Zerg, for example. I'm sure pool is sometimes vulnerable. Obviously, Protoss versus Zerg, I have no idea how it's going to go. We'll figure out the balance over time, but right now, we're mostly looking at a more, I guess you could say, like, reined-in approach to the balancing. We're agnostic, maybe, to any significant issues that could or could not show up. The Vulture's actually going to get pretty deep in here and see that there is indeed no immediate combat unit ready for him, so Dog is thinking about going balls to the wall with his Vultures, it looks like. That's sort of what I'm seeing here. Yeah, the mains are very spacious. The choke is very far from the natural for our Zerg player, so that could potentially be a problem. Iziricor goes minesweeping, not immediately jumped on by the Vulture. Gets a few licks in. Definitely could have been whittled down a lot more. As 2 more Vultures are screaming across the map, we have the Mason in the bottom right, not yet recalled. That mine is not going to be long for this world, but there's no follow-ups there. Not that looeye will immediately know. Now, 2 out of 3 of his units get stunned there. An opportunity for Dog once again not taken as he just continues to set up shop outside over here. He might just go ahead and dive on this Hydralisk. He has this 1 mine to fall back to if he needs to, that I guarantee you looeye has not paid too much attention to, but he doesn't really have much maneuvering room over here, and now he's lost 2 out of 4 Vultures to trade down 1 Hydra, 1 Iziricor. So he's going to need some more there. He's actually gone for scrapyards and is sending Matadors across the map as we speak. Very interesting indeed. Looeye is going to eat 1 mine to the face and another, but so far he's been just throwing 1 of the Hydras out. And remember, these Vultures are very low and very isolated. As the Matadors sync up with them, we'll see if maybe Dog wants to force the issue. Early aggro, name of the game here in today's video. I mean, that has been how a lot of these games have been played, but it's always good to see different flavors of it, right? Matadors coming out is an interesting decision. He's actually going up to 6 Matadors. That is something that I don't actually know if Hydras are going to be the answer to by themselves. No armor end and anything means that their damage is potentially going to be a rough time. He's going to clear the mines. Not enough contest there from Dog. Doesn't feel like he can contest with the 7 Hydras of looeye, who... What is he doing? So he's made his gas cap. This is the very first ever captured on footage gas cap to a local cast over here. Very cool, very cool. And he's killing the Ridge. Fuck that Ridge. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. Oh, he did mention that on this map, the gas pathing can be really tricky from the Ridge, and I'm not really sure if he meant that from the gas cap or what. He sent me a message about it at one point. My Ridge cap was bugged. Yeah, I think it's a map issue, though. I've never seen that issue show up before. But anyway, he's going to go ahead and drop the hatch. Oh, no. Wink, says Dog. Well, he just finished his sieve, so we'll see if the same issue happens there. He seems to be happily mining from it, unsmiley face. Now, the flank coming in from the north, this is a pretty psycho spot on the map, I think, but actually I feel like the Hydra count is a little bit too high for the Cyclops to be too effective. That being said, the Cyclops are getting a lot of shots off there, definitely shellacking the Hydras there. Now, if that fight had lasted another 5 seconds or so, I think all would have been well in favor of our Terran. That was a very, like, smallest of margins. You know what I mean? Smallest of margins. Hydra and Droleth coming out there. Unfortunately, 2 Cyclops just got rallied into looeye's waiting maw. Another. And another? No. Corrected. He's going to go ahead and land the Ministry. Again, good luck defending a natural on this base, dude. There's, like, absolutely no way. It's not even really clear where the cliff advantage starts and ends, so that definitely doesn't help either. As, indeed, the last of the Cyclopses are going to be run down. More of them are rallying into the waiting arms of the reinforcements from looeye. And, yeah, Doug is just going to call GG after that one. Unfortunate. I mean, he got his Terran Sieve up, so I'm sure Arbuz is going to write a comment about how that's actually Terran Steve. No, he doesn't write comments, but he's a cool guy. He's a cool guy. We're moving on to game 2. All right, we are here in game number 2. Numero dos, a more sane map, also by BDB though. It's Dyadic Shore. And Shopkeeper Dog is our, I'm going to say, oh, this is either Platinum Purple or Japanese Violet. I'm going to say it's Japanese Violet Terran in the bottom left. Oh, it was dark. And in the top left, we have looeye. He is our Neon Carrot Zerg. I saw this so many times in Weekend War, just moments ago, actually. So, very cool. Very cool. Looks like he'll once again be opening the Larvosk. And will he go pool this time? Yes, it looks like he will. So, pulls the workers off of the gas, and he's going to try pool versus Dog. Dog going for his Fulcrum as usual. There was a brief period of time where Dog was making stockades, and maybe he does it in other matchups as well, but interesting to me that he has neglected the stockade. Also kind of neat that looeye decided to cut workers as of now. He just went for the pool, like, immediately after the Larvosk, basically. He decided not to make too many more workers, so that's going to be a very fast pool, which means he's going to be more than in time to deal with the vultures, and probably just fine as far as his, you know, combat stance is concerned. I don't think that Dog is under any threat, but as we see the next couple workers go into gas, most likely the follow-up here is the second Larvosk. That's my read on the situation. We got a vulture about halfway complete, and I don't even know if he's going to pop out before the pool itself finishes. So, yeah, that goes to show you how fast that is, because I think the vulture is usually close to halfway across the map when the first pool units get requested by the larva. So, already we are going to see 3 pairs of quads. That's 150 minerals down the drain. More than enough to stand up to the single vulture that is halfway across now. A very big difference in timing there as looeye just gets spied upon by this one pesky mason. His hopes and dreams here, Dogs, are that the quads go immediately to try to chase the mason and allow the vulture to get a kill or two. Not quite microing back, though. He's going to end up... Oh, my God! What? I can't believe I just watched that. There's a second Larvosk on the way, indeed, for looeye, and, well, our Fulcrum opening man is spamming Volts, but it looks like he's going to need to switch over to a Ministry locally, because his early aggro has been stuffed. I wonder how Dog feels about the cheaper early, production structures or what have you with the minus 25 mineral cost of the Fulcrum and the Stockade. Definitely feels pretty good there. I guess also one other thing that if, obviously you have to be somewhat cognizant of the fact that the pool itself can be, cheesed into, but, you could theoretically imagine minus 25 mineral cost to that if, like, as an opener it's struggling. I still feel like it's pretty strong. You just might have to open it up earlier than what you're used to, and like looeye did, and he's sitting pretty. I mean, he's actually got an economic advantage pretty soon here with all of the larvae that he's made. So I'm going to say that he's probably feeling pretty good about himself. Now, we mentioned Dyadic Shore. We've seen Dyadic Shore a bunch of times, but this map does have a very expansive area outside of your natural. And in these early game situations, it does pay to be a little bit conservative with your unit placement, the way looeye is. I do like the mine coverage over here in case like a transport or some kind of flyer ends up taking a flight path out of the main base there. Not exactly covering all of your bases, but it's something. Now, these two quads are probably going to end up playing Minesweeper, as Matadors have been amassed. Vulture's catching some of the quads in the middle of the map over here. Not ideal for looeye, but at least he knows where the Vultures are, and now he can be a bit more conservative. You can see him switching into... He's going to actually making quite a few quads here, as the micro is engaged by Dog. He pans back just in time to see one of his Vultures get picked apart by the poor quads, who are now going to get shellacked by the grenades. And there you go. All right, well, that's going to be a fourth Larvosk right here, right now, from looeye. Will he give the Eskagan another chance? Will he give it another chance now that he knows it's on a different map? Who knows? Mine hit. Not going to happen. Hydrith then already on the way here for our Zerg player, and he is muscling through with pure quad. So the Hydrith here, I like it as a transition point. I can see it as an opener as well. What I can't understand is how people are actually going to try to make Zorka's openers a thing. Hamster's obviously playing around with that lately, as we've seen. It just doesn't seem like it would work under normal circumstances. So plenty of Matadors here. They will almost never die versus quads. So that is going to be a very difficult ask. Some Cyclops get rotated up. The mech army is a little bit small in number, and Dog is feeling like he should chance it. He's going to go ahead and deploy to give them even more armor versus the quads. And the Cyclops are doing their best to hold them at bay. Look how long it takes the quads to chew through the Matadors. They're just so tanky. Sure, they might not be actually able to fight back while they're in this situation because they're, you know, they don't have the longest range in flamethrower mode, but that is rough. That is very rough. So the Cyclops are finally going to be threatened here. The Masons might need to get pulled. And these are quads, so they can and will kill a lot of workers if given the opportunity. The Cyclops are going to clean him up, though. You can see looeye thinking about it. He's going to charge forward, and oh, the Cyclops will die. Yeah, okay. Some friendly fire there. 2 Basins go down. But honestly, that's not really that bad. Dog is going to feel like, you know, maybe he can contest from this position onward. Now, there's no third base just yet, but it is a Hydra switch. A lot of workers just got sent into the working fields. 4 Larvosk. Hydrith Den. Okay. Yeah, I wonder, my current thought process, right, is that you probably need to switch into Phalanx production fairly quickly if you scout a Hydrith transition. I mean, you can fight it with pure Goliath, but you need to, well, not pure Goliath. You can fight it with Goliath if you have healing. And we see a Stockade in the production tab for Dog. He's probably going for that healing as we speak. More and more Hydras being put together. And this is why you need the Phalanx more than anything. I mean, Phalanx versus Hydra is very, very good. You think about StarCraft 1, tank Hydralisk. Not a great matchup for the Hydralisk. But as 2 Palladiums come down, it looks like Dog is already a step ahead of me. The Bactylisk really forces the issue, I think. Pretty cheeky from Dog to sidestep the army here. His reinforcements will make him aware if looeye pulls the trigger on some kind of move across the map. And as the Fulcrums are complete with their Palladiums and all the add-ons finish up back at home, Dog is going to need to be able to pan away from this army and macro at some point, but he is very much locked into the micro. His Cyclops are doing an incredible amount of damage to the midsection of looeye's army. He's got to falter back, but that is, oh my god, so many dead units. Many of them were Hydras. The Cyclops, the real money makers here for Dog. And look at that! Some workers got sent across. That is not going to do the trick. All right, Dog back at home is queued up. 2 Phalanxes, 3 Matadors, and a Shaman. He is still all in on the mech play. Cyclops are going to go ahead and confirm a third base in production. Now, the Hydras should be able to stuff this. This might have been an overextension by the Cyclopses. Maybe they can get a little bit of value here. Obviously, the lobotomy mine is a great synergy. There was only one of them over here, though. And yeah, they kill 1 Hydra for their troubles, but that is going to be it. 3 Circuith back at the natural. We still have the ski backed up, and of course, the not moving on the production front, still sticking to 4 Larvosk plus the 2 hatch, third nearly complete at that third base. Vornath is the strategy du jour. I'm pretty sure they would say strategy in French too. They just say stratégie because they're French. But the strategy du jour is indeed going to be that. That is of the day or prepared for the day, if you're curious. Yes, I know French. Je parle un peu français pour toi. Baguette. So the Hydras are going to be caught on the way out, and I mean, yeah, you can't really engage in here. That was not an intentional engage by looeye per se. That one Phalanx could have maybe been stomped on. I don't hate the Blackjack ad, but they are definitely going to struggle versus the Hydras if they're allowed to get into that mid-range position. Now, a couple of Skither cores are being flexed into by looeye. He's massing them up. He's got 2 more in production, a few flying down. And he's got a bunch of idle workers at his third base. So as soon as he pans over there, he can go ahead and fix that one right up. Dog has his third ministry complete. We'll see where he elects to send that next. I would suspect the same sort of cross position over here. Yeah, looks like that's exactly where it's going. So even though looeye has the economic tempo, again, I think in large part due to the fact that he went that early pool, he is still going to be a little bit second fiddle in the military camp, right? His army is not going to be as good. Now, we have no anti-air over here for Shopkeeper Dog. So the 4 Skither cores are going to cause a little bit of havoc over here. The Masons get pulled immediately. We don't have that many units finishing up over here. In fact, we have almost no units finishing up, so the Blackjacks are going to need to be the difference. I love that he hit the stop key at some point so that his Masons naturally split. He refused to let them stack up. Only 5 Masons going down. I say only. That does sound like a lot, but he's still ahead. He is going to have to lift his ministry. It will be able to escape as long as he actually waypoints it out of there. He knows that almost certainly the Skither cores are going to come back in for a pincer as these Hydras descend to the third base. It did not move. He did not move it, so he loses it, and the Skits can strike at any time. We'll see if looeye does end up doing that. Indeed he will. The Watchdog's not quite able to finish up, and this might have been a delicious pincer by our Zerg player. Still, not at all cost efficient on the ground. The ground army's so strong and scary for Shopkeeper Dog, but he's shut down at his third. No hope of setting that one up anytime soon. And he's been losing mining time at the natural. So he is going to pull the trigger. He is moving across. He's got more Blackjacks. They are not going to stand behind and secure the position. There's 1 Blackjack here. So obviously this number of Skither cores is not going to be held at an arm's length by that. So they are going to dive in. The 1 Blackjack, not quite enough. We got 3 more over here. Watchdog's only being put down now. This is an all-in position for Shopkeeper Dog, and he has the army to do it. He can make it happen. The deployments come in. I think a couple of them got double ordered there, which is a little bit unfortunate, as he could definitely use a few more in deployed stance, but the Hydra count is not punching through the armor fast enough, and even though he massacred the worker line at the natural, looeye does not have that much left. He has definitely done a lot of the Phalanx number. There are more reinforcements here for Dog, but he's not going to push the issue, it seems. Or is he? One of the Phalanxes will finally fall. There's no clerics for the armor increase, and we've got so many Hydras being made every rotation. Remember, there's almost no anti-air over here, so as the Skits flank over here to try to pick the Phalanxes, GG is called, and Dog down 2-0 in our opening matches here. Well, it's not looking too good for our Terran player. I do think that there were some interesting moves. He probably needed to respect the run back with the Skiths and try to drop the Watchdogs in the middle of responding to that early threat. Pulling the army back made sense, but when he lost the ministry because he didn't order it back into his main base area, and thus the Hydras didn't even have to hard commit to that position, it just was a little bit too cost efficient for looeye. Even though he lost the ground war really, really obviously, he was then able to fall back, and you saw the spiral from there. Let's go to game 3 and see if Shopkeeper Dog can redeem. Well, Mr. Looeye is in the bottom left of Frosted Forest, a 3rd BDB map in a row, and he is the Neon Carrot Zerg once again. Shopkeeper Dog up here in the top right is the Yellow Terran. So it will be a Fulcrum first for Shopkeeper Dog once again. Looeye, though, is going for his standard gas, so it's a little bit harder to read what he wants. He does mine with 3 on gas, I have noticed. I feel like that's more than the other Zergs, but maybe I'm just not quite paying attention. That being said, some of the other Zergs are like Hamster, and if they mine with those gas workers, they're doing it for a Zorkish Shroud as their first structure, which is a little bit different. So the Fulcrum has been placed, and a Mason is dispatched to scout at the same timing. Dog has a very stable play style, insofar as you can see here the pool will be coming for Looeye. He changes it up and divvies it up a little bit differently, right? Whereas Dog, he usually sticks to the Fulcrum. Now, in tournament play, I've seen him do some cheese. In tournament play, I've seen him do all kinds of other things. But it looks like it will be, once again, a 7 pool coming online for Looeye. he will go ahead and drop, I guess it was technically 8, right? Because he made 2 workers, well, technically he made 4 workers, but 2 of them got used for structure work in that respect. I was just thinking about how, like, conceptually speaking, I was debating, like, you know, if we say the Escosiad goes really nicely, right? And then we think about a 5th race. It probably would be Blood Summon from Onatar. That is a race I was coming up with, and the idea behind their construction method would be a summoning ritual. And by default, you'd be using your workers for that, and that would feel pretty Zergy in a sense, where you're consuming your worker for it. But you can throw multiple workers at it to speed it up, so you could do that, and obviously you'd lose multiple workers. Now, that wouldn't normally be a very cost-efficient strategy, but they're not the only units you'll be able to sacrifice. And it will probably be contingent on, like, the maximum health of the unit or something, like, you know, or the current health, maybe, something like that. So, you know, this is a fun idea that I was thinking of, is some kind of summoning ritual where, you know, your combat units can be used not to start a ritual, but to help conclude one. So that could be kind of interesting. We'll see how that one plays out. But imagine if you could, like, throw your Quasilisks into an active construction and speed up the process, like increment the production amount by a certain percentage. Stuff like that. You take like 5 seconds off for 1 second for every 10 health consumed, as like a vague idea. Maybe it would be 1 second for every 50 health or something like that, depending on what the final ratio ends up being. But I think it's probably, you know, it's probably safe to say like 10 HP equals 1 second off. That could be neat. Anyway, enough about that. We've got two Masons going over here. Only one can make a ministry at a time. This is not the Escosi team building. We've got double Fulcrum with double Scrapyard, so it's going to be the Matador follow-up again. Love to see Dog experimenting with the Matadors. I mean, he's been doing it for quite a while, and I do think that there's it's cute to see the Matadors in action, you know what I mean? It's just nice to see Matadors in general. So the natural coming down here for looeye. Pretty good timing for the Zerg to take a natural under some duress from the harassment of the Volts. Oh, he's calling him out. He's like, yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and burrow here, right in front of you. Where's the response time there? Oh, I think he spotted him. He's going to dive forward. Oh, but the unburrow is maybe a little bit more than Dog had in mind. He might have thought there was only a few of them burrowed if he saw them at all. He'll pick a single Zeth, but he has lost some mines and a Vulture. Waypointing his Matadors back down. All's fair in love and war, I suppose. I mean, the Larvosk's coming in. There's 3 of them. So it looks like looeye is going to run back a similar strategy to the previous game on Dyadic Shore. What is the adaptation from Dog? Because he's in a pretty good position with his Phalanx army. Like, his ground army was insurmountable for what looeye had, but the sudden Skith pivot and the poor reaction on Dog's behalf to get that ministry out of dodge contributed to it. So we'll see how that goes. It's not going to be Hydrith the same way, though. Shroud being the follow-up here means that looeye is once again going to deviate from a game plan that saw him victorious. Just trying out different strategies, you know? 3rd Fulcrum on the way. Looks like maybe a 4th will come down as well. There it is. And not enough Vespene for a 5th, but he'll keep maintaining some Masons in the direction of his opponent. Saves himself any splash damage. These Quasi units are bypassing the mines for the most part. Looks like that last one will finally be bopped. Okay. Matadors are deployed. Wide a door, actually. Single circuit over here. Okay, makes sense. Plenty of Quas moving out. Overall, I like the amount of Quas that looeye seems to make, because it's enough to be relatively safe. But then he's still able to make a lot of workers. Like, he's getting a good timing, a good feel for how often he can greed in a way, or just play eco in a way, instead of playing for the military. 5th Fulcrum on the way. The one downside to that being, of course, his larva is being used for workers, so it's an investment in the future, and if the timing attack hits him before the future gets there, well, he'll be in the past. The dustbin of history. Still no Palladiums, though, so I feel like Shopkeeper Dog's timing is some time away. I say that, 2 of them go down immediately. The 3rd Fulcrum halfway complete. See what else Dog is thinking of. No detection, and he will need a Star Pad or a Vestry add-on for his Stockade, which is only now being constructed if he wants to have detection for the inevitable Lechizalisks. 4 of them in production as we speak, and these 6 claws are finally going to get cleared out, but it's just going to alert looeye to the sheer number of mech units that are about to be on display. The Phalanxes rallying down makes a lot of sense. And as Dog, you definitely want some active units on the map keeping tabs on your opponent's army in the same way that those 6 claws were basically doing for looeye. You don't want to be able to get flanked. I mean, the maps are very open. This map is very open. So you can absolutely get flanked by one of the other quote-unquote lanes, right? Units moving their way across. We got a Spraith over here and a Circuith. So anti-drop in the main. Same sort of treatment in the natural. Dog does like his drops sometimes. Cyclops are going to range down these quads and spot them out along the side. Still no sign, from Dog's perspective, doesn't know what the follow-up tech node is. Might be a little bit nervous that this is tier 2 rush or something, but the Lakes go ahead and deploy. That is going to carve through a lot of the Cyclops if given the opportunity to. 2 of the Lakes have died, but unfortunately for Dog, he is going to need to tuck tail and walk away. He has no detection right now. Lots of money in the bank, though. What does he go up with? Madrigals, an interesting choice. We got 3 Gorgs coming as well, so maybe a bit of, I want to say, like, I was going to say, like, pretense, but that's not the right word, because I'm thinking of, like, precognition. Maybe a little bit of that. Prescience, that's the word I was looking for. Now, the mech army does get spotted by looeye's forces, so he's actually going to abandon the attack across the map and just charge him using the Zorius to speed his Lakes up, and that will carve through the Cyclops. That's going to be a really big moment there. 3rd base on the way for looeye. Not having anything salvaged from the previous fight is kind of significant. We don't have a star pad still, so the more mobile version of the detection for the Terran army is the Ant Seal. Shamans, when deployed, provide it. Lodestones as an add-on for the Ministry and Treasury provide it. And then, of course, as a meme, the Atlas provides it. But you're not really going to be able to get the value that I think you need when it comes to detecting the Lakes from afar. Maybe you can safeguard yourself from the all-in sort of move from looeye's army by putting a shaman somewhere, like in the back. But if you need to detect this, then you need to actually move the shaman, then deploy it, then kill it. So it's a very different experience. Now, we are getting back into some Phalanx production. He's gotten multiple rounds of just pure Madrigal, right? So that feels pretty significant to me. Like, you can see him inching forward here. This is what you have to do when you don't have that Ant Seal. Starpad is coming up. 2 Sieves on the way, so we are going to get that extra Vespine for our Terran players. 3rd Ministry complete, but not quite on location. A 4th base coming online as looeye's only now setting up his 5th, even complete with an extra hatch. Now pushing outside. I mean, I love the macro that he's been able to get up to in these games. The Gorgacores are spotted. That is going to pressure forward. Shopkeeper Dog wants to make sure that his opponent isn't allowed to do that for free. Is that a 4th? Yeah, okay. He's making a lot of extra, expansions and whatnot, but he's not really able to secure the ground just yet. So he's keeping up in tempo in theory, but not quite in practice. He's got the ministries. He just doesn't have them on location. A horde of Zerg is on the way. The Madrigal count is definitely quite high, and as long as they stay, deployed like this in the back, they are definitely going to be able to help deal with the Quaz units. But we don't have any Ant Seals yet. Now the Lakes are not quite able... Oh, there's the Ant Seal. Just perfect timing there, honestly. But is it going to be enough, right? I mean, the Madrigals are not... The ones that are deployed are not quite in range to super help out here. The Ant Seal not really able to defend this one Phalanx up here. That's a great position for it, because that Phalanx was about to die. And, this is very costly for looeye. He hardly has any more units left. Right? And look at that. I mean, Shopkeeper Dog obviously has been reduced a bit, but he wiped almost all the Lakes. In fact, there's only 4 of them out here in the middle. Whether that gets noted or not is another story. Dog going to go ahead and send his ministry packing to that 3rd base. 4th one nearly complete. Just finished up, actually. See what he wants to do there. Looeye has a lot of Vespine. Tier 2 on the way for him as we speak. 10 minutes, 30 seconds. The Dog isn't that far away from it himself, and he's even going to feast on a couple of Zorius. Where's his focus fire? He needs to pay attention to this army. The Lakes are going to burrow and get some good value on the hits, but I don't think it's quite enough to finish the job, even though Dog is not focusing on it. Yeah, okay, 2 Phalanxes go down. That's pretty significant, actually, and it looks like a Madrigal will fall as well. So I stand corrected. Dog definitely needed to focus down those Lakizalisks faster, but very focused on the Zorius for one reason or another. Hydrathen at the third base. Interesting choice. Sublime smiles upon you. By that, I mean he writes an angry comment, I hope. Not very much expansion in the production for Dog. He's still on the 5 Fulcrum, 1 Stockade. He has added the Star Pad for detection, but that's about it. Just a single hand seal. Not much gathering happening at the 4th base here, but looeye is going to stretch ahead, and Tier 2 is complete. So what is he going to pivot into? What does he make in response to this? Maybe he goes for the Teth-Fifth. Spots the army moving in and across the middle of the map. He's already halfway across the backside, but not going for it. Tier 2 on the way for Shopkeeper Dog as we speak, adding more phalanxes. He definitely needs to expand his production, but he wants to wait for Tier 2 to do so. Setting up the few miners at the 4th base, and the 3rd one is okay saturation-wise. He's definitely still behind the 8-ball economically. And now with looeye on the defensive, you got to be real careful about where you deploy. In a straight line, the Lakers will feast well. 13 of them moving into burrow. And okay, a bunch of them do get creamed by all of those phalanx mortars, but there's too many targets to pick from, and that will wipe the army. Shopkeeper Dog not able to make it happen. Beautiful game played by looeye. He's been doing so well on the macro department in these 3 matches in particular. I think he definitely could have been pressured a little bit more aggressively, but given the fact that he wasn't, he took plenty of map control. He expanded at good timings, and that's pretty solid play, I would say. So, all right. Zerg feasting well. Will Shopkeeper Dog run us back with 3 victories of his own going forward? Well, you'll have to join us for part 2 of this cast to find out. See you tomorrow for more.